Hello and welcome to our lesson on kites and trapezoids. In this lesson we are just going to go over some of the basic definitions of kites and trapezoids, and we will discover more in class the properties, the special properties about these, so that we have more to go on than this. So this is just get down the basic definitions. If you need to pause it to write these down, please pause them. I'm going to talk you through these. So a kite is a quadrilateral, a four-sided shape with exactly two distinct pairs of congruent sides. And you'll look at my drawing down here. Please copy down the drawing, and in this drawing you can see I have it marked that there are congruent sides that are next to each other, and these two are next to each other also. And that basically is what makes up a kite. If they are congruent from side to side across this angle, then the shape turns into a different shape that we will talk about in a few days, a different quadrilateral that we'll talk about in a few days. And you probably already know what I'm talking about. The trapezoid is a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of parallel sides. And so you can see we have parallel. Remember, the arrows mean parallel, not congruent. And so therefore these guys are parallel, the top and the bottom. It doesn't have to be the top and the bottom, but in this case the top and bottom are the parallel ones. And so then these two sides are the non-parallel sides, and that's what makes a trapezoid. I always think of a trapezoid as a triangle that's got its top chopped off. If you extend these lines, you'd end up making a triangle out of it. So then a couple more things about kites. Kites have two different types of angles, vertex angles and non-vertex angles. Vertex angles are angles that are between the two congruent sides. I have them labeled as angle 1 and angle 3. And we also have non-vertex angles, and there are the other angles that are between the non-congruent sides. That would be like angle 2 and 4. And we will discover a property about angle 2 and angle 4 when we get to class. The final definitions that we're going to cover are trapezoids, and I have three different types of trapezoids drawn here. And so these two are a little more standard trapezoids. You can see that there are the parallel sides, the top and bottom in this case, and then the left and the right are the non-parallel sides. When the top and bottom, the parallel sides, are what we call the bases in this case. And so the top is a base and the bottom is a base. Down here, the bases aren't the top and bottom because they're not the parallel sides. It's the left and the right. You'll also notice in this parallelogram, or in this trapezoid down here, that I have two right angles, and that's a possibility. You don't have to have the sides being slanted like this. You could have right angles as part of your trapezoid also. And so then a pair of angles that share a common base are considered base angles. And so if I erase out this right angle down here, these two top angles are considered base angles. They don't have to be congruent to each other. I could, in the same color, I will mark these two, this angle being a right angle, and this angle over here could be considered, those are considered base angles. So marked in the same color are the base angles. Up here I will do, these guys share a common parallel side, common parallel base. They don't have to be congruent to one another, but they are base angles. And then we could also, these guys are also considered base angles up top up here. And you can see that I'm not marking them the same because I don't know if they're the same or not. Down here in an isosceles trapezoid is the third one. It has the non-parallel sides are congruent in length. And so that would mean that this side would be equal to that side. So I'm going to mark them as we do in geometry class with the little tick marks. And that means that in our base angles, there are properties that deal with the base angles, but think about an isosceles triangle. If these guys are my base angles, these blue ones, well, they're probably, just like in an isosceles triangle, going to be equal. And we'll talk more about these in class. And then we also have these base angles up here that we probably know some stuff about those too. And so this concludes our definitions of trapezoids and kites. If you have any questions, please come to class prepared to ask them, and we will learn more about these in class.